Welcome to the Coaches Show. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and today I'm very pleased to have more state champions from WCS. This time it's Summit Football. Head coach Brian Coleman and state championship game MVP, Mr. Football finalist. We could probably go on and on about the accolades for this young man, Mr. Destin Wade. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate you having us.
Yes, sir.
So Summit, after finishing runner-up last year, you guys get all the way back to the state championship game, and Coach knows this, and I know Destin does too. We talked many times throughout the year, and I know Coach probably hated getting emails that were through his athletic director from myself or someone else in the central office about guidelines and protocols and all those kind of things. But you not only battle getting through the season, but you have some injuries, you have COVID-19. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys had 4 games in the regular season that actually were no contest, which means basically you got the win, but you didn't play. And then you get all the way to that state championship game and defeat Oak Ridge 28-7, which is a game that, and we can talk about this in a minute, that I didn't even think personally was as close as the score. You guys really came out and dominated that game. Coach, I know we were talking a little bit off air, but it's got to still be sinking in a little bit that you are the head coach of a state championship football team.
Yeah, it's still surreal. I mean, it's sink in until you hear people say it like you say it. I mean, but it's awesome. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling to be in the community and people congratulate you, stuff like that. Was just closed the other day, and 2 or 3 people come up and say congratulations. I have no idea who they are, and there's a couple of them were even at the game. So that's an awesome feeling for sure.
And Destin, I know that's a lot of hard work. Is this just something that you dreamed about, you didn't think about, or what was your mindset, or what's your mindset about this state championship?
Yes, sir. Just from last year, I think as a team, we just wanted to get back to the state championship. And we worked hard in the off season as well, even though all the COVID, like Coach Coleman said, messed it up a little bit. But thankfully, we were able to play some games.
I definitely agree with that. Coach, and I know you get on to me for reminding you of this, but I think this is awesome personally. You start out at Summit 0-10 in year 1. You've left a job at Forest that meant a lot to you. You take this job at Summit and you're maybe thinking, dang, what did I do here? We're 0-10 in year 1. But just a few short years later, you're the state champion. And to me personally, I would think that it's got to make it really extra sweet. It's not like you were handed the keys to this program that had been around for a long time, that had won multiple state championships. You were basically at a new school trying to build something. So to me, that's got to be even more special for you.
No doubt. I mean, it is. And right after the game, when me and Coach Melton hugged each other, that's what he said. He said, come a long way since 0-10. So it's always in the back of our minds. And I think we've done it correctly, as far as you building up, because there was no really huge jump. I think it was 0-10 and maybe a 4-6, then a 7-4, and then steadily got better and better. And I think that's how you build a program. I mean, and kids like Destin helps that awful greatly. But I think that's how you do it. You get these kids bought in, and they work their tails off for each other, for the team. And it's just a great concept. It's just great, to have a program like this for sure.
Well, that's well said, Coach. And, a wise man told me once that certainly I know you've got great players like Destin, but the man in charge has something to do with it too. Anytime something's going well, who's ever responsible? And the guy in charge, which is you and your coaching staff. You guys obviously played a big part in that too.
Yeah, we have a good staff. I mean, that's one thing we do have here. All the guys, all the coaches just care about and work hard. I mean, everybody wants to talk about this year having an asterisk, and I'll guarantee that, yes, I'm 100% on that, but it needs to be an asterisk of all the things we had to go through. I mean, the things that you couldn't control as a coach, and you've said this before, you know how we like to control everything. We want to control the atmosphere. We want to control what's going on, and you just couldn't. I mean, heck, you'd have a kid come in on Thursday after practice, say, Coach, I just got the email. And you're like, oh, okay, good. So they go to the depth chart and who we got next, next man up. So it's just a wild year, and just very proud of the guys for what they, accomplished and persevered through for sure.
Destin, you guys had a lot of guys step up throughout the year, and I'll just name a few of these guys. Guys like Caleb Jolly, Brady Pierce, Trey Hunter, your brother Keaton, who obviously went through some ups and downs this year. Really, to me, you guys have a pretty darn complete team. What are your thoughts about not only some of those guys that I mentioned, but the entire team as well?
Probably I like Caleb Jolly. He's pretty good. He always steps up to the plate on defense and on offense. Brady Pierce as well. He's my best friend. He's a special player as well. And my O-line, like Cooper, he won that award, best offensive lineman. So I thank those guys up front for blocking for me as well. And key players like Gavin as well.
Yeah, a lot of pieces. Mr. King out there doing a good job for you, Coach, and Destin at receiver, running the ball some. I mean, it's just when you look at you guys, I look at your stats each week, and you see some of the same names. Obviously, your stats certainly stand out each week, but there's a lot of guys who step up for you offensively and defensively, Coach.
Yeah, and maybe the COVID and the things like that and the injuries we went through earlier helped us become a stronger team defense-wise, because we get through a lot of sprains, a lot of ankles and stuff like that, and I think that was just because of the preseason we had. We didn't have much of a preseason, so they don't build those ligaments and stuff like that. And at one point of the year, I think we were down to like our 5th string running back. So then you get kids like Brandon King that step up to the plate whenever you need him. A great receiver, but we had to move him to running back. We moved to running back in the halftime of the Columbia game. He hadn't played the position since the year prior, so we're having to reteach him how to do stuff. So it's pretty wild, and he did excellent. I think he had over 100 yards rushing in that game. So it's like kids like that. John Randall Dipple that stepped up. He hadn't played football in a couple years and becomes a running back, safety, played a key role at safety against Henry County. So and the offensive lineman, I mean, kids stepping up, doing a good job. Sam Jewell moving from guard to center one week, and another, other people having to move around and shuffle. So, I mean, once we got to the playoffs, and we were healthy when we got to the playoffs, and I think that had a lot to do with conditioning we do, the weightlifting we do. Once we overcame those little nagging injuries, and then, where we got the kids more consistent and a consistent basis, during practice and weights and stuff like that, and got stronger. I mean, we were pretty injury-free going through the playoffs, other than some little nicky-nack things. So that helped tremendously to have a full unit. We weren't a full unit until I get because we had all those weeks off because of the wins between Shelbyville and Lincoln County, I think. So we became healthy, and everybody was worried about us being rusty, and we were not. I mean, that was our battle. We were not going to be rusty. We were not going to come out flat, and coaching staff, we kept harping on that, and I think that helped us out to get momentum through that game. We weren't sluggish in that game, so start good there, and we were a healthy football team.
Destin, talk about that a little bit. During the season, you had several games. Again, I think it was 4 that you didn't even play because of COVID-19, and particularly with the other teams. But how do you deal with that as a player, just each week? Is it hard preparing? Is it talk about, the letdown of, oh, by the way, we can't play this week and we can't find a replacement. Talk about how tough that is mentally from a player standpoint.
It was pretty tough mentally, but I think our guys stayed focused throughout the games that we didn't. And one game versus Shelbyville, it got canceled, I think, that Friday, right, Coach Coleman?
Yep, 1:30 on Friday, yeah.
And I think the whole team was frustrated, but we just went back to work Monday. And just having that same mentality, I think, paid off.
What I thought was interesting too, and certainly I'm not calling anybody out or acting like somebody did this on purpose, but I did think it was interesting that you guys, such a strong team, you had more people who couldn't play, and you didn't seem to have folks want to step up and play you. Because I know Coach Coleman one particular week, I think you and I had talked that you had tried several different places to find a game and just nobody would step up. And, I thought that was too bad because I think when the year started, and I'm not talking about our coaches necessarily, but you talk about across the state, people would say, oh yeah, we'll try to play games and let's do what we can. But once you get going, I don't think people were too excited about adding you guys as a game. That had to be frustrating.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches started picking and choosing at that point. That the page week they canceled on us about a Thursday. So that Thursday we spent all day trying to get a game because we had a little bit more time. We called people like Tullahoma and like that. That's the first one that comes to mind. And the closest thing we could get was a school out of Memphis or a team out of Birmingham. So, and that's not easy to get travel going. And we'd have to leave school early and get charter bus and all the things. And that just ain't happening in a day as well as anybody. So, and then the Shelbyville game was a Friday at 1:30, and they sure as heck ain't getting no game then because nobody can get travel arrangements that fast. So, and a lot of credit to the kids. I've said this before. Our kids were never happy about not even playing. I mean, they're saying, "Oh, you got the win." Not really. Our kids want, but they really want to play that Shelbyville game. I mean, we were hyped up. We practiced we had a great week of practice, and I mean, about 1:30 or even after a Thursday night practice, after that, these people are thinking about Shelbyville a lot on their minds. You know what I mean? Even teenagers, even these high school kids, but they had Shelbyville on their mind and all the way up to 1:30, and it was a letdown for them. But I think that made them just as hungry for the Hillwood game. You know what I mean? I think they kept that drive and just weren't happy about the COVID wins and just wanted to play somebody for sure.
Well, the thing I thought was interesting too, in looking back at the season and thinking about your team and what you went through, this is kind of hard to believe when you think about it. You played one less game in the playoffs than you played through the season. You actually played 6 games during the year, and you played 5 games in the playoffs, which honestly, Coach, I thought because of the nature of your sport and how beat up people get, by the time it got to the end, in a strange kind of way, maybe it was an advantage. What do you think about that?
I totally agree with that. I mean, I do. I mean, if you're playing, I mean, would we play 11 and could have been 15? Yeah, that's 4 games that you could have got a lot of wear and tear on their bodies. But yeah, I agree 100%. That definitely was an advantage to us, I guess. I mean, people were always using it as a disadvantage, but maybe it worked out good for us.
Destin, let's talk about this a little bit. The mindset coming into the season, is it something that you guys as players, coaches aren't around and it's just players? Did y'all talk about getting back to that state championship game? And not that, I know you were disappointed to finish runner-up, but shoot, if you're disappointed to runner-up, then that's not a bad thing. But did y'all talk about, let's get back there and let's now win this thing? Is that something you guys openly talked about as a team?
I think, mostly we did talk to it a lot, like in the beginning of the season and before, during the off season. And, some of my closest friends, we talk about it too, just getting there, and that it would have been a great season and stuff like that. But yeah, we talked about it a lot, and we just worked in the off season.
Coach Coleman.
And that was something we talked. We really didn't mention, state championship. Our first goal of the year was to win the region, because the year before, we didn't even win the region. We're a 3rd seed, so winning the region was paramount. That was our first goal, and we did that. However, we won it. It was weird winning it. It really didn't. We won the region, and it was just weird doing it because we didn't play everybody, But then, you carry on, and then, after the Hillwood, after Columbia, then we start more talking about as a coaching staff to the guys, look, now is the time to focus on a state championship. You've been there, you know what it takes to get there, use that experience. And I think that played a key. It was key for these guys for the year before to be runner-up, to go to Cookeville, to know what it feels like to walk on that field, to look around, this year, I mean, you could totally tell the difference. This was a different team this year. They were business-like, wasn't big-eyed at all. They were ready to play the football game. You know, they didn't care about the surroundings because heck, we played at Beach, we played at Henry County, and then we go to Cookville. Cookville was a breeze compared to Henry County and all the daggum bells and horns and all the crap they got going on. So we go to Cookville, and it's quiet, and it's a fun and easy place to play. It's like being at home. So, you know, it was a tough road, but, I mean, the guys handled it well, and it was key for the year before, all that hurt, all that feelings of we could have done this, we could have done that in that state championship game to drive them this year, I think.
Well, Coach, let's talk about that playoff run. Again, you come into the playoffs 9-1, region champions. Again, no matter how it happened, you were the region champions. Hillwood, you talked about that game, 42-6. Second round, you play a Columbia team that was playing pretty well, beat them 28-14. And then I'm going to tell you this, to go to Beach and to go to Henry County to get to the state championship game, I can't imagine a road that's really any tougher than that. In fact, Coach, I don't know if you know this, but I thought going into your game at Beach that was the state championship game. Now, obviously it really wasn't. But to me, whoever won that game was going to be the favorite heading on down the line.
Yeah, and then just the perseverance these kids showed throughout the Beach game. I mean, good football team. They did a great job. I mean, we scored early. They matched it with one play. They score with 3 minutes to go. Here comes Destin Wade. He takes the offense, and I mean, it was just that drive right there was probably the best drive of the year. 3 minutes to go. I think we're down 6, down 7. I don't know what it was, down 6 maybe or something like that. I don't remember. But I mean, running, throwing, clocking the ball, timeout, all the things that you practice for years for on that Thursday practice. And you practice it, and it panned out great. Destin did a great job of leading the offense, of running when we had to, and throwing the ball great. I mean, and I think on that drive we hit, and I think Jolly we may hit Brady. I think we even hit Canadian on the pass too. So he was using all his receivers. It was just a beautiful drive for sure.
Now, Destin won't remember this, Coach, but you mentioned the drive. I'm thinking Denver Broncos, John Elway.
Oh, he ain't got a clue who John Elway is.
Playing at Cleveland.
I've heard of him.
Playing at Cleveland. That was the famous drive where he takes them down the field to win that game. Hey, Destin, you guys, I'm just curious from your standpoint, and obviously Summit High School, that's a state power too now, if you're talking football. But, you know, you're a school that hadn't been around quite as long. Did you guys as players, did you kind of get and understand what a big deal it was to go win at places like Beach and Henry County to get to the state championship game? That is a tough road for any team.
Yeah, I think we noticed that just coming into the week that the coaches said it'll be a hard fought game. And, you know, the Beach game went back and forth as well. And going into Henry County, that's a tough place to play, like Coach Coleman said. But we kept on fighting through the fourth quarter, and we just got the win.
Now, Coach, people talk about that long drive to Henry County, and I said, look, that's no problem for Summit. They had the same length drive last year to Gallatin.
Yeah, but we were actually moving this week, this year. Yeah, we split it up. We stopped in Dixon and got out at a hotel conference room and ate and used the restroom and walked around and things like that. So I say it all the time. These kids handled it well. Everything that we did, they handled well. They're high school kids, but shoot, you would have never known it. They're, you know, professionals, how we traveled and how they prepared for the games.
Well, and, you know, obviously I'm not around the team like you are, but it's interesting. You said something about that business-like demeanor. I stood down on the sideline before the game too. And Coach, you could feel that even as a person that's not with the team every day. You could sense that it was the moment that they knew they needed to be in. You could tell it was, okay, we're ready for this particular game. We're not intimidated by this. We're not looking around and looking at the stadium. It was more like, let's get this thing done. You really could sense it from the team.
Yeah, you could. And even after the Henry County win, that was a huge win. We celebrated for a little while. I bet they celebrated for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they years. And then they're coming up and hugging me and coaching. We're not done yet. We're not finished yet. And I mean, they weren't. I mean, in their minds, they weren't finished. They weren't happy with another silver ball. So, to flip that switch from that point, it was excitement to beat a great Henry County team at Henry County, flip that switch and get ready for Cookeville was something pretty sweet.
So let's talk about the state championship game. So you win at Henry County 35-21. You get to the championship game, you take on Oak Ridge. And I thought that first possession of the game really set the tone for the rest of the game. It was one of those drives kind of like you talked about. Destin gets the touchdown, runs one in, and you really never look back. I thought really, Coach, the only time that I thought there was even sort of an anxious moment, it's 21-0 at the end of the first half. They end up scoring, and then you know that they're going to get the ball to start the second half. But really in the second half, the defense really dominated.
The defense stepped up. Great first drive. I think it was a great catch by Brady, got us inside the 5 on a pass interference on him, and still caught the ball, got us inside the 5. And we had short yardage. We didn't do very well on short yardage against Henry County. We worked on that a lot during the week, and did a great job and scored right then. And I think we get up 14, we get up 21. They score, and then the second half we're up 21-7 and a half. Second half was defense, like you said. Destin was playing a lot of defense. We kind of intentionally got a little conservative on offense because we didn't want to lose it for us. You know what I mean? We wanted to protect the football, run the football, get the clock running, and not wear Destin out so we could play some corner on defense also. So, get Dippled and King and Brady Pierce in the run game. So, run the clock, be smart about it. I mean, 21-7, we're with the way our defense is playing, we just have to play smart football. Coach Melton had his guys prepared, well prepared. Oak Ridge was not prepared for what he did to them as far as, it's kind of a nickel coverage, nickel package, which it didn't look like we had very many people in the box. So they start counting the box, and they want to run the ball against that. We had 5 in the box. They want to run the ball. Well, our 5 guys up front did a great job of stopping the run. So, just hand it over to the defense, and they did great.
Destin, talk about you're a team that obviously with your production and what you do offensively, and you've got such a high-powered offense that folks do talk about that a lot. But talk about the defense and what a great job they did. Obviously, you played quite a bit of defense in this game too. But just talk about the Summit Spartans defense and what it meant to your team's success this year.
Just playing on the defense, I could tell in game, it's a different feeling than offense for sure. But just to see how good those guys work so well, and how they trust each other and fill in gaps and stuff like that, and reading their assignments, they just did a good job in the playoffs too. They always got my back basically.
Something too, Coach, I noticed, I think all championship teams have these qualities like you guys are talking about with the chemistry with one another. But you mentioned your defensive coordinator, Coach Melton, and I had you guys on the show last year. It's very obvious that you guys have that same chemistry as coaches too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's a head coach. He's the head coach of the defense. I've told him before. We've talked about it before. I don't even go to the defensive meetings anymore. It's his baby. During practice, we're a scout team to help him out. He's an excellent coach. We're happy to have him and keep him for sure. He's definitely head coach material. Hopefully a few more years, but he's just a great coach. The defensive staff does a great job. So it's fun to have that chemistry. And coaching staffs needed chemistry also, just like players and teams. And players feed off of that chemistry. Now we'll go back and forth at each other in practice. And Destin's heard it before. It's kind of fun. If he's running our scout team defense, he'll hear the play call and run a dash blitz right to where we're going and sit over and snark saying, "Oh, I didn't know you were running the ball there." Yeah, he did, but he wants to get us riled up, and that's what makes us a better team. So it's fun. The kids love it, and the kids enjoy it. But he's a great coach. coach for sure.
Coach, I wanted to ask you too, because you mentioned him earlier, Brady Pierce, when you look at what he did in that state championship game, rushing 30 yards, receiving 88 yards and a touchdown, 4 punts for an average of 31.2, 6 tackles, and was responsible for the only score in the second half on a pick six. Pretty special night for Brady.
Yeah, I've told everybody this. He's just an old school football player. I mean, his nose is bleeding. I mean, he's just an old school guy. I mean, he gets the defense. He's the quarterback of the defense. Destin's quarterback of the Brady gets everybody right on defense. So just a great punter. Pinned them inside the 3 one time, and he's even returning punts, catching. That is a great element to high school football, is to be able to catch a punt, fair catch it. I mean, all you do is fair catch it, because a lot of high school teams don't fair catch it, and it rolls 30 more yards behind them. So that's huge in high school football. And Brady, his skill set is great. He can go back there and catch it. And we had a few plays set up for him during the game that we knew that he could beat their slot defender. He ran a little skinny post, and I think we hit it at least twice, right, Des? Maybe 3 times.
Yes, sir.
Just running that post, and Destin hit him in stride. We practiced it all week. We knew, guys, we're going to run this. It's going to happen, and it did, and they connected at least 3 times for sure.
Destin, let's talk about your performance here a little bit. Most valuable player in the game, 101 yards on 14 carries, 2 touchdowns, 7 for 10 passing, 136 yards and a touchdown. And Destin, when I watch you out there, maybe it's the size, maybe it's the play, maybe it's the number. I say it every time I watch you play. I'm like, Summit's got Cam Newton out there playing quarterback. Is that somebody that you look up to or pattern your game after? Because when I watch you, that's what I think of.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that a lot. But thank you. I like him, and I watch Justin Fields a lot, so I kind of try to mimic my game after them. But yeah, I felt like it was a pretty good game overall. We were clicking on all cylinders, and we were just working that week of practice. We worked on a lot of those routes we were connecting on. So I think that proved the point.
Destin, let me ask you this. Talk about, now I'm biased here. I know Coach Coleman's biased, and I would say because you had a 6-game season, it may have had something to do with it. But you make it all the way to the finals for Mr. Football the week after the state championship game. You're recognized as a finalist for Mr. Football, which was completely awesome. Again, I thought, hey, it's Destin Wade or nobody. But I'm sure the young man from, I think it was a Daniel Boone coach that won the award. But
some team. I don't even know.
Destin, talk about that experience though, being there with Coach. The Tennessee Titans sponsoring that particular award. Talk about that day. That had to be pretty special too.
Yeah, it was special. It's just a once in a lifetime type of thing, and just to be rewarded that, I'm very excited, and it was very humbling too. But I give all the glory to God for just giving me the talents to make it that far, and my team. But yeah, it was a wonderful experience with my parents as well, just to meet, just to be there.
Well, and the only thing I'm going to disagree with, you said once in a lifetime experience. I got a feeling you're going to have an opportunity to be involved in that experience again next year. Destin, something I wanted to ask Coach about here. Let's talk about Destin here a little bit. A multi-sport guy. He's played basketball, started since his freshman year. I had the opportunity, I wouldn't call it the joy, but the opportunity to coach against him 4 different times his freshman year. And what I said about really Destin and his brother too, the kind of demeanor that he has playing the game is pretty darn special. Doesn't get rattled. Just this, it's almost like even when Destin was a freshman, he almost handled himself like a 10-year pro. It's going to be something special, Coach, to coach a kid like Destin who has that kind of demeanor.
Yeah, he's even keeled. I mean, nothing's too big. I mean, he's always even. Big game opportunity. Other games, I mean, up, down, it doesn't matter. He's even. And the kids feed off of that. He's the quarterback, so everybody's looking at him in the huddle. If he's freaking out, then everybody's going to freak out. But if he's even keeled, I mean, the team is just restful, I guess you could say, even if you're behind or in a big game. So it's awesome for your quarterback to be like that. And, Destin gets a lot of accolades, but he does deserve it because he has worked his tail off, you know, as far as, I mean, you look at last year, we relied on his running the ball, which he's excellent at, but he knows that he need to work on throwing the ball and reads and things like that. And he worked his tail off in the offseason, you know, to get better. I mean, to be a complete quarterback, and he is. I mean, I don't think the last 3 or 4 games in the playoffs, he didn't even have an interception. So he's protecting the football. He's finding his open receivers. He hit them in stride, letting them run after the catch, and taking off running when he has to or when he could. So, I mean, he gets a lot of attention, but deservedly so, because he works his tail off. And, you know, as far as basketball goes, same demeanor, just the ball skills that he has. I'm not a big basketball coach, but I know ball skills and, you know, dribbling and things like that. He's excellent. Now he don't want any 1v1 with me, but I think he's a good basketball player.
I've asked you before. You're too.
Coach kind of stiff out there, Destin, playing. I said, is Coach kind of stiff out there on the basketball court?
A little bit. I think he asked me sophomore year for like a free throw competition, but I don't know who won. I forgot.
I know who won. I don't know who won. I forgot. Heck yeah, I know who won.
That's great. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. Unfortunately, our 30 minutes is up. I've enjoyed talking to you about the state title. We're so proud of you and looking forward to, I mean, I know you guys are in that mode of celebrating and getting rings and doing all that stuff. I'm already excited thinking about next year, you guys joining the 6A ranks. You guys are going to obviously do very well there. I know you're excited about that, Coach, and looking forward to that challenge. And I know you guys are up to it.
Yeah, we're excited about that. I mean, even after the game, everybody's saying, oh, you're going to 6A now. We can even enjoy the win, but we're going to enjoy it, get those big colossal rings in here and enjoy that time. The kids deserve it. I mean, everything they got, they deserve. And then, you know, about January, February, we'll start thinking about moving into 6A and all that good group of guys over there.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you being here. Enjoy the rest of the semester. I know the semester's about over here. Enjoy the holidays. Look forward to seeing you guys soon. And thank you guys for joining us for the Coaches Show. Again, thanks to Coach Brian Coleman, Summit High School, Destin Wade of the state champion Summit Spartans. We'll see you next time.